started off this session just walking Oakley around with me, reinforcing her down and her sit commands. But I wanted to do a voiceover on this video because this is an exercise that I like to do, and every time I post a dog that I'm doing this exercise with, people give me the thumbs down, and I think it's because they don't understand what I'm doing here. So everybody wants a dog that reads the situation and reacts accordingly. So people will say, my dog knows the job, so I can just let them work. Well, here's kind of how I start explaining that to the dog. So when I do start to put her on cattle, I don't tell her what to do. But what I'm going to start to do is I'm going to start to try to move my livestock, and I use my corners in this pen. So I'm moving my livestock from corner to corner. I'm not starting yet with the dog. Right now I'm just reinforcing her sit. But I go in there and I start moving my livestock by myself. And I don't tell the dog what to do. I let the dog start to look and figure it out. And what's going to happen is the dog is probably going to start off working against me. So I'm moving the cattle to this corner on the right, and you see Oakley goes exactly to that corner. So right now I'm going to push her out of the way and correct her verbally. No, I'm trying to go there with my cattle, so you cannot be there. So I correct her again when she chooses to go to that corner. Right now I'm correcting her because she was leaving the pressure. If she had just stood there, I would have gone back to my cattle and started moving them. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm going back to my cattle, trying to get my job accomplished. She can join in if she wants to. And as long as my cattle are going where I want them to go and the dog is assisting me in that, I'm not going to correct her at all. So right here I have my cattle where I want them. I stand there with the dog for just a few moments and hold them there, and then I call her off. That'll do. Good girl. Job accomplished. So the jobs are very quick. They're very short. And I'm usually moving cattle or sheep or goats from corner to corner. So it's pretty obvious where I'm trying to get them to go. So here I go again. I'm going to try to move them up again to the corner on the right hand side of the screen. So every time she goes to a position that's causing my cattle to leave where I want them to be, I'm going to correct her. Pressure's off. I'm going to start moving my cattle again. And I don't have to get them back to where I started, but my goal would be to try to get them to the corner pretty much behind Oakley. So as I start moving them, if she doesn't get out of my way and I can't get my cattle to go there, then I'm going to have to step in and move her. So she did move. Exactly. So I'm going to try to move my cattle first. If I can't move my cattle, then I'm going to correct her. So at first, for a dog that's over enthusiastic, you're doing a lot of correction. For a dog that's really soft on this exercise at first, they might just walk beside you or behind you, and you're thinking, oh, they're not really working this livestock at all. But if the dog has a lot of natural instinct, they want to do something with the livestock, they want to help you, they're going to start to read the situation, and they're going to start to respond accordingly. So there is, for a dog that wants to push, Oakley is that type of dog. She wants to push on these cattle. There's a lot of correction to start off with, but it's all related to what she's doing with the stock and what I'm trying to get my job done. Good girl, that'll do. So we got him to that corner. I'm going to call him off, spend a little time praising her, and then reset. So you're always wanting to keep your job short and very clear. And then later, as you move through this exercise, you do this repeatedly. She starts to read the situation and understand, not overwork. She's not working over me. Then we'll start to do different things like fetching, obstacles, gate sorts, that kind of a thing. So right here, I'm trying to let her work the back, but if she doesn't, I'm going to go ahead and do it for her. So I'm giving her clues there with my my stock stick, and then my body pressure, right? So I'm leaning towards the back because she could very well go back there and help these cows keep moving. She's focused on the wrong thing. So it's very much kind of like a clicker game where I'm letting her work whenever she's correct. Whenever she's not correct, I'm correcting her. I'm keeping the game pretty short, as in we're just moving probably about 60 feet at a time, 50 to 60 feet at a time, keeping our cattle settled. And right here, she wants to push on the back. I'm going to control the front of the cattle, but she went all the way through because she thought, oh, I'll just fetch them, I'll just get them off the fence, whatever it is. So she negated my job, which was to go to the corner, which is behind her now. So I'm going to start moving my cattle again. I'm going to see what she chooses to do. Right now, she's pushing the cattle to me, so that's what the correction is for. We're going to keep moving our cattle to the corner. So as long as she's correct, my cattle are going where I want them to go. Even if she's not helping me, I'm not going to correct on her or ask her to do anything or ask her to engage. So on your really soft dogs, this can be pretty beneficial because they're not getting in trouble for their efforts unless their efforts are negating the job. So you're just teaching your dog how to read the job that you're trying to get done and help you do that instead of always working against you or always pushing the animals away from you or whatever it happens to be. You and the dog are a team, and this is an exercise that kind of solidifies that and starts to get them to understand that concept, especially on cattle. Well, it helps on sheep and goats too. I usually start this with sheep or goats. This particular dog had already worked once that day. It was time to get her on cattle again. So I wanted to start on cattle. She's going to work cattle for the rest of her life when she goes home. She's not going to work sheep or goats probably. So I'm going to start using my there just to kind of cue her in, like that's where I want them to go. I'm out to the side controlling the heads on the cattle. She's just going to push them forward for me. And then once we get them to the corner, I'm going to see I'm controlling the heads here. So I'm trying to keep them in the corner, and if she pushes too hard, I'm going to scold her. The more you can get your dog to think about what you're asking, what you're trying to get done with your livestock, the more you might be able to say in the future, oh, my dog was just able to figure these jobs out and do them on his own without much input from me. This is kind of what I'm trying to instill in this dog here. The commands are still useful. The commands are still being taught. But this is just one of those thinking type exercises where she can start to react to what the cattle do, what I do, and what it looks like the job is to her.